Hello and happy Monday to everybody out there. Welcome into the PHLY Phillies podcast. Jamie Lynch, Renee Washington, Tyler Zulli after the long wedding weekend. The weekend warrior back with his college buddies, doing keg stands and beer bongs and all sorts of wackiness. But good to have you back, Tyler.
I'm alive. I'm here.
I'm here.
I exist
I'm
in this space.
The college weddings are always a great time. So the layout for today, Renee, we're going to recap a little bit of the weekend that was. There was a lot of positives, and I think, frankly, just a lot of fun out of this weekend. Jim Salsbury is going to join us at 11:30 here. We can obviously talk about London with him and the upcoming trade rumors, which are getting hornier and hornier by the week. Baseball horny, yeah. We are going to go down on the farm, talk about the future being bright, and we'll call it a day, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, Renee, I think all in all this weekend, there's a Bryce Harper quote. Let me just read it to you that I think summarizes this weekend pretty perfectly from the Corey Seidman piece on NBC Sports Philly. It's not just another series. We're in London hanging out and playing. Business trip, it's not that. This is for the game. This is for the fans. Obviously, you want to win and do everything you can, but at the same time, it's tough to come all the way over here and not try to enjoy it. We've got 2 days off here. Try to enjoy those because they're few and far between. Baseball, I think the results of the game were kind of secondary this weekend. They were sent over there to have a good time and to help grow the game on an international level, and I think they did just that.
Yeah, I think that's the hard part. We're all competitors and hate losing. And so it's tough to look at a game like Sundays where you have a chance, bases loaded. You have, you just scored a run. You're now within one to tie the game up, take the lead, win the game in the bottom of the ninth. So it's frustrating anytime the Phillies lose, especially obviously with the Mets. But this weekend wasn't about that. And we had talked about it before the weekend even started, that going into it, we kind of were trying to keep the bigger picture mindset of, regardless what happens, this is about something special. The Phillies don't get to play in London every day. You're out and you're in a different country.
Yeah.
You're in front of a different fan base. You have a chance for as Bryce is mentioning, and Bryson talked about it. Kyle talked about it. The guys were talking, Alec, about being able to also hang with their buddies. The wives and kids probably weren't there for most of them. It was just a boys' trip. It was a business trip, able to get to be tourists, able to get to, interact with different fans. And so this was that moment for baseball that we've talked about as it's taken strides. We saw it with the Soul series. We've seen it with, the different international series that have been going on. It's great. It's great for baseball. And it was two good games, honestly. Like the double play to end the game yesterday was a historic. That's never happened. Wrong side of history for the Phillies. But, it was for anybody that's not a Phillies or Mets fan that was just solely watching for the enjoyment of baseball, you got two good games out of it.
Yeah, and one of my favorite parts of the weekend was seeing, Chooch and Chase and Jimmy and Ryan and all and Cole Hamels and all the guys that we love from the 2008 team over there, extending a hand, doing the alumni, current player fun stuff. And it was really cool to see. And, overall, the takeaway is you left up 9 games in the NL East. You come back up 9 games in the NL East.
Right.
No harm, no foul, and a lot of fun was had. And, you've traveled around with teams before. There's a real bonding thing that happens when you go somewhere like London for 4 or 5 days.
I was going to say,
you go out, you have a party in the Tower of London, you're hanging out with Ryan and Chase and Jimmy and talking about the fans and playing in Philly. And it's just like, it's a great weekend for the organization, for the clubhouse. And all in all, if you're a fan, you should have had fun this weekend.
Yeah.
Hopefully you didn't take that too seriously.
What people don't want to hear, especially because they lost on Sunday, is this is bigger picture going to help them down the road. And as we talk about this team as a World Series, a true contender for the World Series this year, I wouldn't be surprised if we look back on this London series as one of these key moments that helps solidify that. Because as you talk about, this is a chance. They don't ever get 2 days off. They don't ever get to just be out.
Let alone party in the Tower of London.
You're hanging out. You're going, exactly. You get to just go sightseeing
Aaron
and
Nola
partying.
Had never left the country.
Right. So these are moments that honestly remind you why you started playing sports in the first place. It's to travel. It's to see the world. It's to have these fun chances with your teammates. And when I think back, as you mentioned, as soon as you said it, it's crazy. The memories that it triggered for me were the memories that led to my teams ultimately winning championships. Like, these are championship building trips. And even down to, I know we talked about it yesterday, the decision of Gregory Soto over Matt Strahm, who's now had 26 scoreless innings, versus Gregory Soto, who just hasn't. These are moments that are going to define this group, to have a chance to hang with the alum and former greats that have been on this team, to have a chance to go out with your teammates and just let loose a little bit and take a step back, let loose and keep it sexy. Like, this is a championship building weekend. So results aside, bigger picture, guys, I think we'll look back on this moment as a staple of why the Phillies are successful this year if they can continue.
Yeah, listening to WIP, I switch back and forth between the two stations sometimes on my ride in until I get sick of it, and then I usually put on music. But I was interested. WIP ran a poll this morning to fans, and it's a Twitter poll, so take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Did you, as the fan, enjoy the series? Because we were out and about, Renee. We were at Gall & Co. both Saturday and Sunday, and it was awesome. Thanks to our friends at Miller Lite and Gall & Co. Gall & Co. is awesome. Both locations in Rockledge and Port Richmond. Tremendous. I had tremendous meals both days, and I switched it up. I did not go Witter-Wachowski. I went the fried pickle BLT yesterday.
You know, I switched it up.
Yeah, and the burger the day before. So we both ate good at Gall & Co. this weekend.
Chocolate chip pancakes with some milk.
Yeah, Tyler, she got the kids' milk.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
She goes, "Did you see what I got for breakfast?" I was like, "No." She's like, "I got a kid's milk and pancakes." And I go,
the worst part is,
that sounds about exactly right.
I asked the waiter, because we're in a bar and Gall & Co.'s bar is in a church.
Give me that milk in a dirty glass, barkeep.
We're in Gall & Co. for some brunch, and I asked the waitress, I was like, "Do you guys have, what kind of milk do you have?" She's like, "Milk?" I was like, "Yeah." Like, "What kind of milk do you have?"
We have kids'
I
milk.
saw milk on the menu, damn it. And I was like, "Is it the kids' milk?" And she's like, "Yeah." I was like, "I'll take it." And it was a cute little, kids' milk.
Yeah, it was adorable.
But it was exactly what I needed. It was great. They had fantastic food, and it was
scrapple fries.
Beautiful. But there was it was so hard to even pick one thing on the menu. So these are moments even for us, as fans, as we're watching for our shows.
But being there, people were into it. And people were getting up and screaming. When Whit Merrifield hit the 3-run homer on Saturday, the bar went nuts. It felt like a playoff vibe. So we were out and about and in it. So anyway, the WIP poll said, did you, the common, Phillies fan that didn't go to London, did you enjoy this series? And again, take this all with a grain of salt. The poll was 53% that they didn't enjoy the London series.
Oh my gosh, all because they lost the day.
And I was like, what?
Come on.
How did you not enjoy this?
Oh my gosh.
And I also agree very much with our own Derek Bodner from the Sixers show, which is coming up at 2:30 today. You guys, Union, 2 o'clock, right?
2 o'clock.
Derek Bodner said, I know this might not be popular, but I am a fan of 10 a.m. baseball. I also am a fan of 10 a.m. baseball.
Are you sold now?
I'm not saying it needs to be a weekly thing, but I think every once in a while, you kind of turn the stadium over to a brunchy type of vibe. Maybe you sell some breakfast sandwiches and coffees, and you lean into the breakfast crowd a little bit. I'd be in for some 10 a.m. family
Especially
trips.
if they rotate the teams that are playing at 10 a.m. It could be weekly if it's not the same teams every week.
Yeah, maybe do it once or twice a month.
Yeah. The thing is, though, as adults now, we appreciate brunch much more. Then I'd rather have the early day than
the older you get, the more you realize
night.
Day drinking is better than
That's
night
exactly.
drinking.
This is where we are in life. I think only the mature crowd of us that understands the value of day drinking.
11 a.m.
When you're able to get up, eat breakfast, and start drinking. I had some mimosas. You had the beer. You had a Bloody Mary.
I loved it.
Honestly,
and then you sold a full day.
That part, because yesterday felt like such a long day. I did so much yesterday.
I saw you post.
Because you started.
Where were you? Barbecue?
Don't ask.
A barbecue?
I mean,
you were doing something.
I was out in the streets.
I saw our own Andrew was out for ice cream with his girlfriend.
Yeah, I was out at a cookout, and I was partying after the party.
Yeah, it was a full day.
It gave you a full day,
and
so rather than waiting, because the other part is when you have night games, you're waiting around all day for 7 o'clock.
Yeah,
you're waiting around, and it's just all right, once the game
up and at
versus
let's go.
Get going, start the day early, and that's how we operate.
Tailgate
here.
with
we're
a
morning
breakfast hoagie.
Oh my gosh, I loved it.
I know. Coffee and a bloody. I'm in.
I know if they did that more, I'd be all in for it. Mickey was saying in the chat how he enjoyed it. Ben, you're talking about all the side content, the videos with the players was fun. the games themselves or whatever, they would have been just as chaotic at home because it's Phillies Mets. Yeah, I think that was also part of it too. Like, we got to see them, as you talked about Aaron Nola, who hasn't been out the country. You got to see them in that moment as people, not just as like the Phillies. And like, it was fun to see the softer side of them, laughing and joking and trying to guess the Bridgerton characters and all that crazy stuff.
Yeah, the Tim Kurkjian stuff was pretty good.
Yeah.
But by the way, the ESPN broadcast. Now, we couldn't hear Saturday, so we didn't hear the Fox broadcast. Apparently, Adam Wainwright got some really good reviews from some people I saw on Twitter, so people seem to like him. The Michael Kay ESPN broadcast stinks. It is not good. Michael Kay, like, mispronounced, like, 4 different Phillies.
Somebody said like 11 at one point. He had like mispronounced names between both teams.
He called like Ruiz Alvarado like at one point. He messed up a bunch of guys. He didn't know one of the new pitching change rules. And his cadence on top of it was very like, I found disjointed. Like he would be in the middle of a story as the pitcher was like delivering.
Yeah.
And I was like, this just stinks. I'm not a fan of Michael Kay, so sorry.
And the thing is, like,
there's my thoughts on the ESPN broadcast.
So I do a lot of work as an analyst, and you have processes of prepping and researching, and they give you so much. You get all the audio files of pronunciations. You get all the details. Like, there's no excuse to be messing up that much when you're on a game, especially it's the London series.
Yeah.
Like, this is a major, as we keep talking about, the opportunity to grow the game, a major broadcast that people might be tuning in for the first time, and you're giving them wrong names and wrong information. And this is the main broadcast. There is no local. So that's disappointing to hear, because there's literally no excuse to be butchering names and messing up that badly.
So Aaron Nola, Ben in the chat brings up a fine point. Aaron Nola says he's never been out of the country. Are the Blue Jays an illusion? I assume he means continent.
But that makes it actually worse.
I assume he means continent, but like...
Thank you, Ben, for catching that, because
yes,
that actually
he has
makes
been
it
to
worse.
Canada. He has been to Canada. But, you know, I don't know. Do people in Louisiana consider Canada just an extension of America? Like, I don't know. You know, it could,
that's bad.
Yeah, it could just be America's winter cap that we put on. He's been out of the country. I think he meant continent.
Yeah, but that
because
actually,
it is. I mean, it's land connected. I think he meant.
I think this makes it worse, actually.
Nah, I understand what he meant. I think he just slipped.
I think I need to know now if he's aware of the 7 continents.
I'm sure he is. Do you think he knows about Pangea?
Get on it, huh?
Do you think he knows about Pangea?
Probably not. I think I need to get on it.
Maybe we'll do a geography Q&A with Aaron Olson. Yes, he meant the continent.
Yeah, he definitely meant the continent, because they've all been out of the country.
That's a fair point by Ben. Fair point.
That's a great point. But I do feel like, to your explanation to try to justify it, you can get there via car. Like, it doesn't require a flight. You do have to use a passport to get to Canada. So maybe he's...
He meant somewhere where I didn't have to drive.
Sure.
But all in all, a really fun weekend. And
there were some great nuggets, as you talked about Corey Seidman. I know he came out with some information. There's some positives here. I know we talked about it yesterday, but we got some more numbers for you, because as people are claiming they didn't like the series, the games were just meh, frustrated with the fact that the Phillies lost. You did have, coming in, the bullpen had a 1.76 ERA since May 1st. Best of baseball. And then, of course, yesterday we saw them turn human. And I know Rob Thomson had mentioned that, you know, he felt like it was time to pull Taiwan. It was time to end his day without giving up any runs. He was wanted to give him a good day to feel good about it, which is why he, in that moment, pulled Taiwan after 5 2/3 and decided to go with Soto. And yes, on paper, now looking back in hindsight especially, it's easy to say, why not go Strahm in that moment? 26 scoreless appearances. But he went with Soto. He said Soto's been doing well, despite his 4.81 ERA across his 93 appearances as a Philly. He said he's been improving on his delivery, simplifying things, his side steps, the slide step, the movement's been there for him, and how he's approaching his pitches, and he wanted to go to him in that moment. And so I think, bigger picture, it's easy for us to say we're frustrated with the weekend. We're not, but some are, because they might not be happy with it. But I enjoyed the fact that we got to see Rob make a tough decision and stood by it, and post-game continue to say, listen, this team's going to just turn the page. We're moving on. Tomorrow's a new day. And it is what it is. Like, it didn't work out this time to make this decision. But the Phillies now continue traveling, headed to Boston next, and it's a new day. And we're gonna forget all about the issues of Jose Alvarado struggling for the first time. I mean, his numbers are insane. He hasn't had a bad performance like that in a very long time. 102 of his last 121 appearances, Jose did not give up an earned run. He had 7 of 8 scoreless playoff appearances a year ago. He has had a 1.40 ERA in his last 28 appearances, a 2.63 ERA the last 3 seasons, and he hasn't given up multiple runs. He hasn't given up multiple of anything. So I think overall, it was a great weekend. It was fun to watch. It was great for baseball. And anybody that's going to have a bone to pick, whatever.
Yeah, I was shocked when I heard that poll that people didn't enjoy it because I thought it was a lot of fun. It was good for the sport. And maybe when the Phillies are flying to Boston right now, they have some cold, delicious Miller Lites on board with them to forget all about that double play that ended the game. Because sometimes when friends and family are around and, it's just great to say, hey, there's Miller Lites in the fridge. Why don't you go grab some? Enjoying a ball game, enjoying some laughs, enjoying a family barbecue, dinner, whatever it may be. Miller Lite is always there for you. It's the original light beer since 1975 and still the best one to this day. Why? Because they keep it simple. They don't, put in their beer stuff you don't need. They just have perfected the recipe of what a light beer should taste like. It's less filling and delicious. A lot has changed since 1975, but the taste of Miller Lite has not. This weekend was great being out and about watching the Phillies like it was 2008 again, and everybody's into it and everybody's cheersing Miller Lites. It's a light beer that tastes like beer should taste. It's less filling and only 96 calories, the original light beer since 1975, and you don't have to choose what's best. Miller Lite has great taste and is less filling. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/PHLY Phils, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces. Fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer.
Well, also, let me tell you about our friends that have the world's first functional soda over at Olipop. Olipop provides you with all the opportunities to make sure you're drinking some flavorful, delicious soda, but also taking care of your gut health. I was telling the guys before the show, I have been struggling with getting enough fiber in my diet, apparently. And so Olipop has you covered. There are 2 out of 3 Americans that are dealing with the same issue of having digestive health issues. 95% are not getting the amount of fiber. Apparently, I'm one. And so with Olipop, you have an opportunity to make sure you can correct that. Don't worry about it. You've got some delicious Olipop right over my shoulder here. They've got all different flavors for you. They've got tropical punch, cream, Dr. Goodwin. They've got the classic grape, lemon lime, and I've seen Olipop all over the place. They're easy to find. I was walking to the airport and saw Olipop in the market. I've seen it at Wawa. It's out at Target, Sprouts, GoPuff, where you can find Olipop plenty of places. There's no excuse. And today you get an opportunity to also change your digestive health as well, because with Olipop, you want to make sure you're getting the amount of fiber. 9 grams of fiber per can, only 2 to 5 grams of sugar per can. They also have all the prebiotics, botanical ingredients that support that gut health, and plant-based fiber. So you can head over today to any store. There's 30,000 stores across the country with Olipop on their shelves. Again, Wawa, Target, Sprouts, Wegmans, ShopRite. You can also find Olipop online on drinkolipop.com, on Amazon, and you can use the code PHLY20 to get 20% off your next Olipop order. That only applies to one-time orders, not subscription orders. But again, use that code PHLY20 and head on over to any of those 30,000 stores nationwide to get 20% off of your order online. And when you're shopping in stores, to take advantage of a chance to drink delicious soda and also feel good when you're doing it.
All right, before we get to Jim Salisbury here in about 10 minutes, we're going to go down on the farm because there's a lot of news down on the farm. Some promotions left and right, and of course, the future is bright down on the farm. Now, I'm going to steal somebody else's prop here because somebody left their Shady Rays in here. So might as well just Shady Rays it up for the future is bright. I got like the baseball lenses. Nice. You got like the classic like aviator type frames. But the future is bright with Shady Rays. Let's put on our rose-colored glasses and explain to people why the future is bright, because there's a lot to be excited about down in the minor league system. Brought to you by Shady Rays. Head to shadyrays.com and use code PHLY for checkout for 35% off polarized sunglasses. That's a great deal. And Shady Rays, of course, offers you insane protection. If you lose or break your sunglasses, Shady Rays will hook you up with a new pair. Renee, the future is bright because I believe we're going to have our first Down on the Farm road trip because we got to get to New Jersey because a lot is happening in Low A, the New Jersey Blue Claws for the Phillies.
Jersey's a spot to be.
Well, some would say just avoid the drivers and the jug handles and you'll be all right.
I've been paying attention more. It's not Jersey drivers, by the way.
Yeah, sure. This is what everybody from Jersey says. Oh, it's not us.
It's you Philly drivers.
Jersey drivers suck
Stop
too.
making left turns on the right lane.
There's
Learn how to
terrible
use
drivers
a
in
blinker.
every state. It's not unique to Pennsylvania or New Jersey. New Jersey drivers suck too. So do Pennsylvania drivers. I drive in Philadelphia every day.
You guys are worse.
All right, so when we're heading over to the, we can argue about this on the bus ride while we're drinking Miller Lights, heading to watch. Aiden Miller and George Clausen get called up to Low A Jersey Shore Blue Claws just yesterday as part of that move. The batter of the month for the month of May in the Phillies organization, Otto Kemp, gets moved up from Jersey Shore to Reading now. So the tremendous play of Aiden Miller and George Clausen, who are just having unbelievable starts to the year, get rewarded with the move up. Now, we're going to, hopefully talk to those two in the near future. We're going to have to ask Aiden. He's leaving, mom's house. The free laundry service is going to be gone.
Mm-hmm.
The free home-cooked meals is going to be gone. He's not going to have his normal fishing
Time
spots.
to get out and about,
that he goes to, but he's earned this promotion. He could be a guy that becomes a real fast riser in the ranks. We're going to talk to Preston Mattingly soon, and I wonder how much this year, if he keeps this up at the Low A level, can accelerate his timeline maybe by a year. He's still very young, obviously, but maybe he becomes a 2025 kid potentially at the end of the year. Maybe 20, he's playing that well. George Clausen's still farther away, but both kids well deserving of the call up to the Jersey Shore. They're on fire and they get rewarded here. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. You look at how they've been playing; they've both been dominant at the single A level, and for the numbers that they've put up, we've been watching for Aiden Bauer Miller, who's been fantastic. He's a great power hitter. He's showing the flexibility and versatility he has in the infield, shortstop, third base, doesn't matter. He can play in a number of different roles. And I think it's absolutely deserving of him to get the chance to be able to get the call up. The numbers that Aiden Miller's had has been phenomenal, slashing 275, 401, 483 in just 39 games. And his numbers have really been tremendous. June's been a little bit more difficult for him, but he just turned 20 years old.
Yeah.
He's very young, and he's going to have those ups and downs, but hitting a 115 with a 425 OPS over the last week was a dip for him. So I think it's actually a great time to give him the call up, actually. Like, I feel like because of how well Aiden Miller's been showing, he can consistently knock balls out of the ballpark. He's hit, he had a couple of home runs, six hits in the past 3 games in single A. Like, it's time to challenge him a little bit more, to raise the bar for him. And as you mentioned with George Clausen on the other end, he's also been fantastic. He did have a minor injury that was a little scary at first, but at 22 years old, Clausen is looking like he has a very high ceiling. To have a .71 ERA with 57 strikeouts and 12 walks in 38 innings over his first 9 starts. And then again, he did pick up a small knock, but he's got great delivery. He's hitting triple digits on the mound. He's got a changeup, a curveball, a slider that's fantastic. And he also, I think, is well deserving of this. And Otto, who you talk about, there's a lot of room there that as we've been learning more and more about Otto, that he seems like he's got a bright future as well. So it's great to see these guys getting the payoff for the way they've been playing lately.
Yeah, Otto Kemp's a little bit older, age 24. So does he help the big league club? Maybe, if he continues to thrive at AA. AA is where the best pitching is, because AAA and the new roster limitations and limits, and that's why they think a lot of prospects coming from AAA up to the major league level are struggling so much, like Jackson Holiday did, because they're not seen as good of pitching at AAA anymore. It's always been the case that like the best prospects were in AA. I think it's just more prevalent now than ever. So Otto Kemp gets a chance to go face that best pitching.
Yeah.
But he was crushing the ball in Jersey Shore. He had 5 home runs. He was hitting .348 with an on base of .460 and an OPS north of 1,000. So like,
wait, when did you take your sunglasses off?
just a little bit ago. They're right here. They're great. So, I mean, what else do you have to prove at the Jersey Shore level? So he gets the bump up to Reading. So, you know, pretty productive stuff. George Clausen really has kind of busted the door down once he learned how to throw strikes. Those strikeout numbers are incredible. Tyler, I mean, what was it, 57 strikeouts in 38 innings?
And that's the thing with...
said?
Oh, you're serious?
It was 57 and 38?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm serious. I was a question. I said, what is it? 57 and 38?
No.
Yeah. No, I was just repeating.
That's the thing with Clausen. We knew that.
No, it is really good.
We knew the stuff was there.
It's
We
so
knew the
good.
strikeout, but it's always going to be big strikeout numbers with him. You know, high velocity, good breaking ball stuff. It was the control and the command. We talked about it last year. His last season, I should say, with Minnesota, he had 47 walks in like 56 innings. This year in the minors, his first professional season, he only has 12 walks to this point.
Yeah.
The walks have diminished to a point where his whip went from a 1.6 last year. This year, it's a 0.9.
Yeah.
Zero
And what else?
ERA at one point.
Yeah,
He was just giving up
and
nothing.
when you're dominating low A like that, it's good to get challenged. And hopefully George Clausen, we can get to a game at the Jersey Shore for one of his starts. That would be ideal. But the Jersey Shore roster is pretty loaded now of exciting Phillies prospects. So it's going to be a fun game to check out when we eventually get there. Hopefully some diehards can join us because we would love to do this now with our guy Aiden Bauer Miller.
You gotta go.
Right? So a lot of fun. Jersey Shore just got a little bit hotter of a ticket, I would say, if you're into prospects. These two are certainly exciting there.
Yeah, and another name that we have to talk through that's already been in Jersey Shore that's doing really well, Justin Crawford.
He had a big game yesterday.
Last night went 4 for 6, 4 hits, guys. Had a home run, a double, 3 RBIs, 2 runs, stolen base. And I know that the talk around him has been he's got the height, he's lanky, he's got this is what the Jersey Shore manager Greg Bodzinski was saying. You know, he's just now simplifying what he already has been doing well. They're standing him up a little bit better in the batter's box. And for him, he's a guy that's really adaptable. And we've been seeing that. They were saying how coachable he is and how well he can take in information and then just go execute it. We saw him hit a backflip on the show with us. Like this kid has a lot there. It's very special. And so he's been fantastic to have a 4-hit game last night. He's had 4 home runs this season. And that's already surpassing last year's total in just a third of the way into the year. Yeah. So he's already hit more home runs a third of the way into the season than he did all of last year. So there in itself is some growth that you're seeing. So Jersey Shore, we're getting there.
It's getting loaded. Marion Boyd is there. Justin Crawford is there. William Bergoya, who's been a fast riser within the organization. Yep. Brian Rincon. And then you have Sam Aldegari, who's also in the Jersey Shore. Now you throw
our young guys are out there.
Now you
the
throw
next generation.
George Clausen in the mix with them, and we're definitely going to get to a game, and hopefully you can join us. But before we talk to Jim Salsbury, let me tell you about the people at Bet Parks. Bet Parks is the sports book that we recommend here. Why? Because it's a local sports book, and they employ local people, and it's easy to get to. It's convenient, and the Bet Parks Sportsbook is awesome. You can get in the zone with the Bet Parks Sportsbook app. Hopefully you had the Celtics last night, but the Phillies have an off day today. They get back at it with the Boston Red Sox tomorrow, and of course, Zach Wheeler is going to be on the mound. So always somewhat of a safe play when you have Zach Wheeler at this point. He's been that good. But whatever it is you're looking for, Bet Parks has got you covered. You can win big with all-day action. Hopefully you had Scotty Scheffler this weekend at the Memorial Tournament. WNBA, soccer, there's always something for you there. Win your first $10 bet and earn $125 in sports bonus bets. You play for fun. You love to win. You bet with Bet Parks. Download the app and play along with us. Must be 21 or older. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Yeah, I'm excited for us to get a chance to hopefully include the diehards as we get out to go see the Phillies prospects and see some games in person. And we've got great things in store for you guys as diehards that you guys can check out. It was fun, so much fun this past weekend as we were at Gall & Co., drinking Miller Lights, watching the Phillies, watching the London series, to have a chance to meet some of our diehards in person. You know, Josh, Duncan Dad, Kevin, Keith, Matt. We got to meet a number of different people out over the course of the weekend. And as a diehard, you get a chance to, you know, not only watch us over YouTube or listen to us over podcast platforms, but hang with us in person. We've got a lot of events that are coming up still. The next big network event, the PHLY First Annual Liberty Open. That's happening in Blackwood, New Jersey, July 13th at the Valley Brook Country Club, where you guys can come golf with us. We're going to be out having some fun for our first golf tournament, and there's a number of different things there. We'll have contests, team prizes, where you will get 18 holes with a cart. There's some gifts and things that you guys can also be able to enjoy, as well as some delicious food that we'll have on site. So lots of events that are coming up. We also have the PHLY Sixers NBA Draft Show. As we are watching the NBA Finals, means the NBA Draft is coming up. So we've got a draft show that's going to be happening in Fishtown at Garage North. We guys also are going to be having some more watch-alongs and takeovers and tailgates and things. So make sure when you get a chance, you are following us, but also checking out the information to become a diehard. That gets you that T-shirt and gets you some discounts to events and different other perks that you get along with that. Plus, you get to be a part of our Discord, where we've got some great conversation, even some trash talking, because some of our fantasy teams are doing better than others.
Oh, you want to talk fantasy baseball?
So, yes, become a diehard. Love the fact that we have our diehard fantasy baseball league going on right now. And I'm giving you guys a chance to see how you can do in fantasy, because I'm coming back. My team is coming back. I just dropped a freaking 7th place. I was first and I've dropped to 7th, but we'll be back.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all.
Nobody cares. But what people do care about is Jim Salisbury.
Maybe Jim can help my fantasy baseball team.
I don't think so.
We went from like 1st to 7th really
I don't
fast.
think so. Yeah. We're going to welcome in friend of the program, Jim Salsbury. Jim, I would imagine that it was your working profession for all those years. You never really played fantasy baseball, or did you?
I never played fantasy baseball. I watch real baseball. Yeah, I never played. I'm trying to turn my volume up. I never played fantasy baseball.
Okay, I figured.
Nor football, nor golf.
Yeah.
You know, when you do this stuff kind of round the clock and then year round,
free time consumed by it.
Sleeping with the cell phone next to your head during the trade deadline, during the winter meetings.
Yeah.
You kind of, you unplug a little bit. So fantasy baseball is out. Though I love the game. I love watching the highlights on MLB Network. I used to love Baseball Tonight. I used to love going back to the hotel room after a road game and watching Baseball Tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
But no fantasy. Sorry.
So, Jim, a lot to get to, including the trade rumors that are out there. But first and foremost, let's get to the London series. I thought it was a lot of fun. As Bryce Harper put it, I thought baseball was kind of secondary this weekend. It is, a marketing expedition by Major League Baseball to grow the game. I thought seeing the 08 guys with the current team, a party in the Tower of London, the Fanatic running loose all over London. I thought it was a really cool, fun weekend. And the results of the game, kind of who cares?
Well, I care about the results of the game. That's why all that exists. It's to promote the game. But I know what you're saying. It had a carnival atmosphere to it. Much like the World Baseball Classic, it's all about, globalizing the game and monetizing the game globally. It's a business venture, but it's also a lot of fun for people. Just once again, confirmation on what a great sports town Philadelphia is. And I'm not just blowing smoke. I think it's the best sports town in America. I think the fans here are the best in all of sports. And I know Boston's good, New York's good, Chicago's good, the Bay Area, but Dallas Cowboys fans. These fans are just crazy the way they travel. I mean, you see it at the Winter Classic. You see it when the Eagles play abroad. And now you see it when the Phillies play abroad. You see it in Clearwater every March. Mm-hmm. The fans love to mobilize and get out there and show their red pinstripes and have a lot of fun. And it was Bryce Harper put on a show, didn't he, with the walk-up music and the bat, and it hit me as I was watching him hit that home run and do that slide. Thank God he didn't catch his knees in that spongy turf.
What about
I was
that
thinking
too?
that. I was literally thinking that.
But I mean, he is such a performer, and the ball field is his stage, regardless of where it is. He is baseball's Freddie Mercury. Would you agree?
I like that.
I think that's fair. Yeah, he's a great showman.
He's a showman, and he puts on the different color shoes and all the other accoutrements, and he's baseball's Freddie Mercury.
You'll have to run that by him next time you see him, Jim.
Well, they're both showmen. I'm sure he'd understand what I'm saying. And I mean, Freddie Mercury died in 1992. So I don't even know what year Bryce was born. But you know what I'm saying?
92, actually. I'm pretty sure.
Great showman. And they put on a great show, and they're great at what they do. That's kind of what I mean.
Yeah. It was fun to watch and great to see Bryce just embrace that moment to be able to fully showcase, for the world. This is what the baseball's about. This is what the Phillies are all about. We also got this past weekend kind of an awakening in a number of guys. It felt like the London series was their chance to maybe break out of some slumps. Whit Merrifield with a 3-run homer, had 4 RBIs this weekend and 4 RBIs all season coming into the weekend. More RBIs, I should say, in London than the season. Nick Castellanos, another big one that really feels like he's hit his stride. In the 7 games in June so far, you look at his numbers, he's had 5 RBIs, 2 home runs. He's had a hit in almost every game in June. He's scored a run in almost every game in June. He seems like he's really coming alive, and this weekend was another chance to see Nick continue that. Have you felt that change and seen that change in Nick's play as he's really working out of what was a slump to now be what we expected Nick Castellanos to be for the Phillies this season?
You're definitely seeing more production, and if maybe he had better wood and his bat didn't explode, they win that game yesterday. But yeah, he had that home run. I think in his last 16 games, he's got an OPS in the mid 800s. He's really kind of coming alive, and I still think there's more there. It's kind of what we talked about really from the first week of the season on. He's a streaky guy, and when he gets going, he can be a real doubles machine, extra base machine. We saw it for basically 3 months last year in the first half. So his streaks can last a good while, and maybe he's getting something going. The track record's always been good. It seems like his timing is getting, coming around. It seems like he's more confident. And like I said, I think he's got, 5 home runs in the last 16 games. So, and that's getting him going. You mentioned Whit Merrifield. To me, those 2 guys have real big picture implications, not just, winning that night's game. And that's what you have to do. You have to win that night's game. But, I think if they get going, that could dictate how this team operates at the trade deadline, because I do think they would like to get a little more production from their outfield. I do think their eyes are open in that area. I don't know if it would be a big move or a marginal move, but the size of the move could be dictated by, is Nick coming out of this? Is he going to be the productive bat they need? Is he going to be the productive bat that he can be? Is Merrifield going to give them more? Is Marsh going to come back and give them more? So those are topics under evaluation, and those are topics that Nick's bat will kind of maybe dictate the answer to.
Okay, so I was going to ask you about Trey, but we'll skip that. And we'll just get into the trade rumors that came out, Jim.
No. They've played really well without Trey. Imagine losing an MVP caliber player and still being.
It's unbelievable. But we will get to that because he's coming back this week. But Jim, Jeff Passan last week tweeted out 3 names that to your common baseball fan are quite sexy, and Luis Robert and Kyle Tucker and Randy Arozarena. We have I think we have doubts here that Kyle Tucker is actually going to become available. But somebody like Luis Robert has gained steam since, and the White Sox are looking for a Juan Soto type of haul, according to Bob Nightingale. McCarthy from Arizona. Jake, is it?
Jake.
He was mentioned yesterday as somebody the Phillies might be looking at. What do you think? You just said Nick's bat is going to kind of, control some things here. If Nick is back over these next 2-3 weeks, is this still something they want to upgrade left field and center field with? Or are they just looking to add a little bit of pop to the outfield no matter where it is?
Well, it depends on what they're going to get out of the guys here. I think they're 25 games over 500. I don't think they need an earth-shaking move. I don't think you need to rip apart the farm system. Everybody's tweeting out those names you mentioned. Those are, kind of big names that could move. And this happens every June. We hear a ton of names, but there's more marginal names that'll be out there. Robert is a sexy name, but he's had trouble staying healthy. Tucker's a really sexy name, but are they really going to move him? I know they've gotten off to a bad start down there in Houston, but they're not far out of the wild card hunt in the American League. I don't know if they're going to move him or not. So I just think it's too early. I think it's not too early to speculate on names that could be available, but I think it's a little early to even know what the Phillies strategy is going to be. I think at this time of year with this ball club, you have to keep all options open. Maybe it's a big move. Maybe it's an around the edges move. And I think all of that is still to be determined. But if it was me, I'd be thinking how I can get a little more offense out of the outfield. And like I said, maybe that problem gets solved within. But if it doesn't, I'd be starting to think of some names. I'd be putting some eyeballs on some names, and I'm sure that's what they're doing. But there are other areas I'd still be looking to maybe get another arm in the bullpen.
So, Jim, the Phillies as well as anybody, and how Dave Dombrowski operates. Do you think this is something where if one of those names is under control for several more years, like a Tucker or a Robert is, or do you think this could be more of like a just supplement via somebody that's cheaper that could help this year? Are they looking for multiple years of control, do you think, if they do go in?
You're always looking for multiple years of control if you're going to give up quality prospects. If you're looking for a quick fix that get somebody to give you kind of a few months to help you get over the hump, you give up less. You'd have to give up less. So I think there's probably a board in Dombrowski's office that has, guys under control, guys on expiring contracts. And then, what you give up correlates to that, I also think, outfield is something I'd have my eye on. And I'm sure they have their eye on. But they might not get to trigger pull stage until the third week of July. And by that time, who knows how things are shaking out in the outfield. You've had more time to look at Rojas. You've had more time to determine if Nick is back. You've had more time to see if Merrifield gets going. More time to look at David Dahl. You never know. So I think they're probably just in information gathering mode now. And I think that information gathering would extend to the bullpen. I also think it would extend, if it was me, it would extend to organizational depth and on the catching side, because JT is just, carried a load and gotten banged up at times this year. So I know you got Marchand back playing again, but he's had trouble staying healthy. You got Stubbs. Something happens on the backup portion. It might be nice to have more. They got a couple guys in AAA in Godoy and Garcia who've played in the big leagues. One of them's on the IL though. But I'd be looking at that area. So it's not just outfield, I think, but that's probably where your sexy names are going to be. They're going to Boston. Kenley Jansen's probably a guy that you might keep an eye on for the deadline for a 2-month rental, depending on how he's throwing, depending on what his workload is. Tyler O'Neill had a great first month. He might be a marginal guy. I know he's really struggled here lately, but he might be a marginal guy you'd look at. So I don't think they've decided if they're going big or marginal, because sometimes in a pennant race and oftentimes when you have a really good team like they have, oftentimes it's that marginal pickup that just pushes you along incrementally and helps make you get better. I look at the Sosa, Edmundo Sosa deal of a couple of years ago. I thought that helped make them incrementally better and helped them get to a World Series. Joe Blanton was an incremental move. Scott Air, all those moves helped them for postseason teams. So I do think they'll be active. And I do think we'll hear big, sexy names. but it wouldn't surprise me if they decide that they're not going to rip up their farm system and they're going to give it a go around the edges.
Yeah. I know you mentioned, Jim, about Edmundo Sosa and even the internal options there as well. He's obviously been on a great tear ever since Trey Turner went down May 4th and Edmundo Sosa got to call in. His numbers have been through the roof. His ability to help the Phillies literally win games has been remarkable. But now we also know Trey is anticipated to return back possibly within the week. His rehabbing and everything has been moving along nicely. He was out in London. He has been working out ground balls, has been increasing his running and his, hitting, and everything's been on track to have him possibly come back this week. So I'm curious your thoughts with Trey Turner's return. Edmundo Sosa's been playing so well. Rob Thomson was asked about possibly getting him some reps in the outfield. Cody Clemens is another one that's been talked about in the outfield and in some various roles, of course, when he's healthy. What are your thoughts now that we are finally here to see at the point of Trey Turner's return of like what the Phillies can do moving forward to keep some of these guys like a Sosa involved? You don't want to lose him. It was the same thing with Spencer Turnbull. You don't want to lose him with how well he's playing, but you got to find a way to keep him involved that makes sense in a different role.
Yeah, it makes total sense. You want to keep that bat sharp. It is sharp, and you want to keep it sharp. And the only thing that's going to keep it sharp are some semi-regular reps. I think he can fill in around the infield at any spot. And, I think they'll hit him some balls in the outfield. He did it in spring training a couple of years ago. I think he's athletic enough to go out there and give you some innings and push some people. And maybe he can give you some innings in left field and you can benefit from his bat. I wouldn't rule anything out. I would definitely give it a try. If he looks okay in workouts, pregame workouts, early mid-afternoon workouts, 25 games above 500, I think you could experiment with it. You got a guy on the injured list. There might be a couple of guys on the injured list. So yeah, I think it's something you could take a peek at. In a lot of ways, I think maybe Edmundo Sosa has earned it, earned the possibility of getting a look out there if the Phillies think he can handle it defensively.
Yeah, it's all good stuff in Phillies land right now, Jim. We appreciate you joining the show. Of course, if you're a diehard here at All PHLY, you can read Jim's work. A great Rhys Hoskins piece last week, Jim. Good to see Rhys back in town, I would imagine, on your end, huh?
Oh, absolutely. He's always a class Philly, and a lot of respect for Rhys. He was there for the rebuild, and he bridged the rebuild, got to a World Series. A lot of factors on why he eventually moved on, but he had a really good run here. It was really great to see the fans embrace him the way they did. I mean, that's another thing I said about the fans, the way they travel. I mean, once you're a Philadelphia athlete, and you give it your all, and you're not an excuse maker, and you produce a little bit here and there. You might have a bad day here and there, but I think people understand that once, the dust settles and players move on. It was just good to see him get the ovation I thought he deserved.
I'm not sure I've seen too many batters with tears in their eyes in the batter's box before. It was a pretty special night. So you can read
Rhys Hoskins is the only player I have ever seen get a double with a broken jaw. I was there the night he broke his jaw in Dodger Stadium. I think it was Dodger Stadium.
Yeah.
And it was like a couple days before they diagnosed it, and he played the next day, and he hit extra base hit with a broken jaw. So yeah, he was a good Philly.
Yeah. So you can read Jim on allphly.com. Jim, as always, we appreciate your time, and we will talk to you soon.
See you guys.
See you,
See
Jim.
you, Jim. Jim wrote a great Rhys Hoskins piece on All PHLY. I'll probably have another piece out this week. Another great reason to become a diehard here. You get access to the Les Bowens and Jim Salisbury's and the deep dives of the Derek Bodners of the world and all Kyle Neubeck and Charlie O'Connor. I can go on and on. Zach Berman, of course. So really good stuff. What's also really good stuff is the best team in baseball, or tied for the best team in baseball, technically the best winning percentage over the Yankees, are going to add a guy that was probably a top 5 NL MVP candidate before he got injured back into the lineup. It's unbelievable how well they did without Trey Turner. When you heard that 6-week doom and gloom timeline of his injury when it first came out, you were like, oh man, this could really set things back here. They were doing so well. Oh, yeah. You're 9 games up in the NL East in his absence. I think it's probably a little foolish to assume he's going to come right back and be at the level he was at. It's probably going to take, I would say, a week to 10 days to play himself back into, true form. But regardless, he's going to join the team again, and the Phillies only get stronger because of it. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I mean, the numbers that we've seen, someone like Edmundo Sosa, who has had a total of 16 RBIs alone since being able to step into the role with Trey Turner's absence. The team just has the depth that regardless if a guy is injured or even just having a bad day and maybe not playing as well, they can pick them up and they can support. And most teams, you have a guy that had a start to the season that's MVP-like, goes down with an injury, the team's folding. The team's dropping games. The team's going to, have some sort of chaos, or at least chaos in those early days. Literally the very next day, the Phillies just kept rolling, kept winning.
Yeah.
So it's been fantastic to see how
Matt
well.
Deckert in the chat says, I almost forgot Trey was even on the team. They've been playing so
and it's
well.
and that's not a knock on Trey. It's just the fact that you don't miss him in a way that most teams would miss an MVP caliber player that goes out on it with an injury for 6 weeks. We were all nervous. Wow, 6 weeks is a long time. What are the Phillies going to do? Didn't matter. Bryson Stott, Edmundo Sosa, we've seen those two alone really elevate their games since he's gone down. So now he gets to come back, and I think the timing is perfect. I know we talked about it yesterday in the post-game show. You're in the midst of a crazy, crazy schedule of 18 time zones in 17 days. You're turning right around to play at Boston. Down
Boys
in
are going to be
Camden
beamed
Yards.
up.
They're going to be tired. They're going to be, it's going to catch up to them. So to bring in fresh legs and Trey Turner, who's going to be excited to be back, and you get to inject him into the lineup.
Yeah, and it's 2 pretty fun series ahead this week. It's a decent test. The Boston Red Sox are better than expected. They're a 500 team right now. I think they're 3rd place in the AL East. But they're probably playing above their fighting weight a little bit, but they've had a good starting rotation, staff ERA to start the year. So you go up to Boston. I always personally love watching a game in Fenway Park. So that's very cool. And then you get the test of tests Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's going to be an awesome series. We're going to be doing the post-game show Friday night after it. But the Phillies heading down to Baltimore. I know a lot of fans are going to be going to that one. I believe Tyler and his dad are going to the Saturday game. Hottest ticket in town.
Yeah.
I priced it out even on the Game Time app. I was like, that's too rich for my blood. But that's going to be maybe the series of the year because they're 2 of the best teams in baseball. They're geographically so close. Phillies fans are going to be all over Camden Yards. It's a great ballpark. So this is a fun week of Phillies baseball. We don't have to have as many off days. We can get right back into it.
Right.
Good week ahead. Good week.
Exactly. And this is, I think, perfect timing. You're coming off of a great series that's more for fun, exhibition style, 2 games, get out of the country, get out of the continent, Aaron Nola, and go to a different continent and be able to have the team chemistry there. And then you get 2 great tests in the Red Sox and the Orioles. And so I do think this stretch is going to be one that's really going to make this team earn some more respect. I know people were saying, even on some of the broadcasts, the league-wide broadcasts, not the local ones, of course, the Phillies still aren't getting the respect that they should as the top team in baseball. There's still a lot of people that are doubting them, strength of schedule and what other excuses. So I'm looking forward to this week being the week where the Phillies can continue to silence the haters, put them Shady Rays on, block out the haters, and show just how good this team is.
Yeah, so for us, we're back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Wednesday, we're going to be doing the pregame, watch-along, post-game show presented by Miller Lite here versus the Red Sox. Tomorrow is going to be Zach Wheeler. The rest of the starters haven't been named yet, but you have a pretty good idea of what's coming. And then Thursday, we're 11 a.m. Friday night post-game after the Camden Yards series. 2 of the best baseball stadiums on the docket this week for the Phils. So it should be great television. For Renee Washington, Tyler Zulli, we will be back tomorrow, 11 a.m., and the Phillies are back in action. Hopefully the boys catch up on their time zones and their sleep on the flight and in Boston today. Have a great rest of the Monday, everyone. And we will see you Tuesday at 11 a.m. right here on the PHLY Phillies podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us.
We all silly like the mayor.